The following is a presentation of the Flex Radio.
It's the interview sessions.
The interview sessions. In conjunction with the Flex Radio.
The team of Giovanni Jackson and David L. David
bring you the latest in entertainment news.
Featuring exclusive interviews with some of your favorite TV, movie, and sports world figures.
Giovanni and David are what's in.
Keeping you entertained with their chemistry and comical personalities.
The interview sessions.
Tune in weekly as they bring you new episodes you don't want to miss.
Please like, subscribe, and download.
It's the interview sessions. The interview sessions with Giovanni Jackson and David L. David.
Man, y'all ain't supposed to feed the gorillas. It's bad for the appetite. Oh, shut up, man. Take this, you big, black, ugly gorilla. Hey, man, what's wrong with you, man? Don't be talking to no gorilla like that. Oh, shut up. Hey, Mr. Gorilla, you gotta forgive these humans. They don't know how to act in front of no gorilla. Nigga's crazy, man. Man, I don't believe Scooter, you crazy. See, you be nice to him, and he'll be nice to you. Hey, look out, man.
So that was from the movie Cooley High. All right. And once again, this is your man, David L. David. And yes, this is the Flex Radio. Aline.
Yes.
I know we've said it before. We get special guests that, come through or, we get them on. But today is an five extra special guest. Okay, and he was in that movie from the clip that we just finished hearing, the movie Cooley High from 1975. Okay, it was set in Chicago though in 1964, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
that sounds about right from what I've collected in my research.
Yep. So let's go ahead and bring him in. His name is Mr. Corin Pooter Rogers. Mr. Rogers.
Hey, Corin, how are you?
How are you guys? Nice to talk to you. This is exciting, man. This is all right.
Listen, it's our pleasure to have you.
Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us today.
Yeah, man. It's a groovy day in Chicago. It's real nice, and I said, what a better day to be chilling and talking to you guys. And it sounds exciting what you're doing, and from the people you've interviewed. I think this is on its way. Hopefully, we'll be seeing you live on Tubi or something.
Yeah,
well, all right.
In the near future.
That's the goal. Yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah. So, So let's see. I mean, this movie is, just like a straight class. I was talking to a couple of people about it. I was talking to actually Brother Man from the TV show Martin, because he's a big, fan of the classic. He was actually supposed to come on the show with us today to talk to you. He wanted to ask you questions, but he got busy at the last minute. But yeah, so
Reginald got busy looking for sandwiches.
Yeah, he has a movie coming up. I think it's a scary movie. He said he's doing right now. So yeah, so he's probably tied up. Yeah, man. So
cool.
I watched Cooley High. Let me see. Probably, and you know what made me think about it? Because I was watching Cooley High last week, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, let me reach out to Mr. Corin Rogers and see if we can get him on the show, because Cooley High is in relation to what's happening, right? It's like kind of like what's happening was kind of like the spinoff from
You can see a little Pooter and Dwayne.
Exactly.
You can see a lot of Preach in Roger.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yep. And
actually, what I thought, I'm sorry to interject. What I kind of thought too was I kind of felt like he melted a little bit of Pooter and a little bit of Preacher together to make Raj too.
Okay. Yeah. Rogers got his little silly moments, but he definitely had the complexion and the glasses.
Yeah.
And the haircut.
Sure.
I was just wondering who Rerun is supposed to be.
I get that.
Yeah, I was just wondering about Rerun. Like, who's supposed to be Rerun?
Yeah, that was definitely not going to be Cochise.
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't know about that. That didn't fit the mold.
And I think I heard that. Did you go out for an interview for What's Happening? I think I heard.
That was such a long time ago. I know that I did audition for the television series. They shot some footage for a television series on Cooley High, and I actually have seen some of that. But decades later, but I did not get the role that for Pooter. I did audition for that, and I didn't get it, and that was for the television series. I don't know if they called it the same name, but it
Ain't
was
that
for a
always
pilot.
wild? Like
Yeah.
somebody has to audition to be something they already were. That's always
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
And
the acting thing is real funny.
yeah, you were the youngest in the movie, weren't you? You were. How old were you when you got that role?
I was 14 years old.
Wow.
And it's amazing that this is, 4 decades ago and 5 decades ago, and we're still talking about this movie and the things that and how it impacted so many people. I think the great documentary would be talking to the people whose lives that it has impacted over all these years. And because I've been in the grocery store and people say, "Hey, you wait right here.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to sign my album." They go home and had me wait for them to go home and get the album and bring it back to the store so that I could sign the album.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, but the love is out there, and there was I put out a YouTube reel about Pooter and the song. I forgot the song was about memories, and the memories, like, everybody's grown. We're all different now. We're gone on to do whatever we're doing in life. But when I see the movie and I relate to Pooter, it's not as the guy that I am today, but I really remember the joy of that kid at that time and that character. And when I relate to Pooter, it's not like my ego going, "Wow, I'm great." Mm-hmm. But that kid at that time did such an excellent job on the performance. I have admiration for the character and that child and the impact that he had on the movie.
Wow.
That's wild. It's like almost outside of yourself because
it really is
so far removed from, So, you know what? Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I'd like to back up the train a little bit like I usually do. And let's start at the beginning and talk about like how you even ended up at the audition. So let's go back to like your upbringing, your family, and touch on that a little bit. Let people get to know who Pooter is. All right?
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. So we will be right back. Mr. David L. David, you want to take this outro out for us?
Yep. And of course, I think this was the soundtrack was awesome for starters, but this song right here, Fingertips by Stevie Wonder, was the first song I believe they played in the movie. So let's take a quick break and we'll come back. We're talking with Mr. Corin Pooter Rogers from the movie Cooley High. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Corin Pooter Rogers from Cooley High, and you're listening to the Flex Radio.
Hey, what's up? What's up? We are back from our break, and you are tuned into the interview sessions on the Flex Radio with David L. David and Allie Harris here, your co-host, hanging out on a really, 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 really cool interview if you don't want to get your black card revoked. This is an iconic figure from an iconic movie that is embedded in black culture so deeply. It's insane, like how many people like really revere this movie and how much of a part of their upbringing in black culture it has become and all of that good stuff. So we reintroduce to you, if you are just joining us, we introduce to you Mr. Corin Pooter Rogers of Cooley High, y'all.
How y'all doing? What's going on?
Hey. So before we took our break, I was trying to back up our train a little bit and get us to get to know who you are, who you were before we saw you on the big screen. So let's go ahead and talk about who you were before you were Pooter.
Okay, we go back, way back.
Yeah.
So, growing up, my father was a member of a folk duo in the 60s. They had records on Columbia Records. And the group was a duo called the Inman and Ira. And they traveled all over. They did anti-Klan songs. They were part of the movement in the 60s, contributing in their way.
I said, hey, now.
Yeah.
You know what? You're
Hmm?
going to have to actually educate us a little bit more. Are those things like still floating around? Can we look these up?
Yeah, you can see the Emin and Ira duo. If you just look up Emin and Ira, you'll see my father and his partner performing their songs. He wrote one for my mom called Rosie. My mom's name was Rose. And he wrote, he used to perform, one piece he used to perform, I don't know if that's on the internet and it's not on record, but in his live performance, he used to do Bid 'em In, which was a slave auction thing.
Wow.
And he had a big variety of things that he did in his theater. I mean, in his performances. And and my father had a lot to say. He was a playwright. I remember being a toddler and watching him write his musical, his first musical called To Reach a Circle, and watching him bang that on the guitar and write all the notes and stuff. And he wrote, I think, about 2 or 3 musicals and about 3 or 4 plays. Anyway, being around him was inspiring. His writing was inspiring, and he was all about giving back to the world and on a spiritual kind of journey. And I was on that journey with him.
Amen. Okay.
And he taught acting and teaching acting. I used to go to his classes, and it just became kind of natural for me at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So then he went on to self-produce a play. I mean, there's so many things to my life, just so much. But he went on to produce a play called To Reach a Circle at the 11th Street Theater before Columbia College owned it. And they really didn't want him, him opening and getting ownership of that theater. So we had problems in keeping the actor going and keeping the show going. And it was called Tetragram on Is. I'm sorry. The play was named Tetragram on Is. And in that play, there was also a young man who, first time in theater, who was kind of a comedian, and he was the opening drunk. And he didn't have lines, but he was a very inspiring young man, and his name was Robert Townsend. And Robert Townsend was in that play, and my father had actually talked to him about acting in that. I think that may have helped inspire him to go on and do other things in the theater.
That's wild.
But I learned a lot from being around that cast. I was the youngest person in that cast, and just learned a lot about theater. And my father had gotten me into doing commercials. I had done a few radio commercials. I had done some modeling for Wilson Sporting Goods. I had done some small radio commercials. I remember it was a funny thing where I was a kid and my father was of course the deeper voice person, but we did the commercial for Weilers, and I did the deep voice and he did the kid. And
what?
I remember it was really wow. And
that's funny.
Yeah, I did Big Wilbur wants Weilers, and my father was like, "Yeah, sure you won't." He was the kid, and we actually pulled that off on Weilers was like Kool-Aid back in the day.
I remember Weilers.
Yeah, Weilers.
I was thinking about Weilers literally. I don't know why randomly within the past month.
So that was my intro to being live and performing. So I'm still with the agent today that I was with when I did Cooley High, who got me that first shot.
Oh, that's nutty. Okay, you don't hear that often.
All right, I'm still with them today, and anyway, they said, Corin, they call my father. We have a great role for Corin. They're doing this movie. It's a feature role, and they think we think he might be good for it. So I went in with we used to call them cattle calls when there was something for a young black person, where usually you're robbing somebody or you're doing something, and they call all these young black kids in. And so this was a thing that was different. And so I got called in, and my father said, you should do the soliloquy from Tetragrammaton Is, which was it was a surrealistic drama, and it was called the role was called the sick child. And in the role, you're emulating today's society, kids who were playing their loud radios, and it was a really silly, kind of weird kind of way. It was talked about violence, but it was done to like dun 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 dun. And it was very expressive.
Oh, wow.
You would break into James Cagney imitations, Humphrey Bogart, then you go street, and it was a lot of varieties of things involved in it.
Powerful piece.
Yeah, it was a powerful piece, and you jump around and you act silly and you act real serious, and then you talk about killings and you talk about. So it was back and forth, and it showed a range of emotions. And he said, you should do that. So I went in and I did that piece. And usually back then you just go in and read your sides, parts of the script. But I said, excuse me, can I do something for you? And they were surprised. They're like, sure. And I don't think too many young kids were going in with monologues.
Right.
And
especially not for that particular category.
For that particular film. Right. And so I broke out into this crazy, wild range of emotions and this monologue, and I think that helped me. I got a second call back, and I was like, "Wow, I got a call back!" I was like, "What the heck?" And then it was between me and another gentleman, and I actually got the role, and I was like, "What the heck?" This was a big thing. I was excited. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And that led me to, doing the film and some other things that I've done since then. But yeah, it was an exciting moment.
That's really cool. I'm so for those of our listeners who already know me, they already know how I get down. I look for like God and his hand in things, and the stories behind the stories that create what is the real part of what we're actually looking at when we talk to people and we get their stories, especially when we're looking at something that is this nature of a piece, because I'm sure that there are, even at this point in our society and in our culture and in everything that means with political correctness and evolution of knowledge and a lot of things that have happened since this movie was created in its rawness. So there are a lot of strong feelings regarding this movie, I'm sure, on both ends of the polarity, and then a whole lot of people in the middle who are just like, they are enamored with the iconic part of the culture that it is. But when we look at the bigger picture and we look at the controversial nature of some of the pieces and parts of this story, I look at your story, your backstory, and I'm listening to the nature of your father's pieces. And then I look at the parallel, because I've heard you speak a little bit about this, and I'd like for you to speak a little bit about this to our listeners, but of how you were the youngest one. And so it awesomely created a safety net for you where it kept you out of trouble, because while the older people were off doing their thing, just like kind of, the whole thing is portrayed, he wasn't the one who ended up in the car. He didn't end up going into certain things that life can take you into, because you had your dad there. Kind of, your natural father was there, and he was concerned about spiritual things and about things of a higher calling. And he already was, he was having a natural hand in what was going on, but the Almighty has his hand in the, the whole picture in the first place, which caused you to have a piece of that weight and gravity to even perform in the first place, to be that in touch with different dynamics of what the realities behind what you're depicting actually are. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes, definitely. My father was a very spiritual person, and I'm that way to this day because of him. I have a lot of him in me, and a lot of the joy too, and I'm still silly also. So there's a little Pooter still in there.
Hey, that's not a bad thing. We all.
I was going to ask you, how do you feel when people? Because I'm pretty sure people still call you Pooter. So how do you?
Of course.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Oh no, I mean, like I say, when I see that they're relating to the character and the kid, and there's a lot of that still in me. I have children. I just had a granddaughter,
Oh, nice.
and
Congrats.
I'm a lot older, but my kid. Thank you. But I'm still silly. I used to tell my kids stories every single night, and I'm gonna be a reigning clown over my grandbaby. As soon as she can understand English, I'll be talking to her and telling her jokes morning, noon, and night. So yeah, but when people recognize me, it's a joy because people they show you how much they really enjoyed the performance and how much they enjoyed everybody in the movie. Uh, Glenn did such a masterful piece. Glenn German. I mean, he's a master. I mean, he's just a master thespian, and he was. I remember on the set they're talking about this is Academy Award. I said, you think that people were talking about? You think he get an Academy Award? But there wasn't that politically powerful of a movie to have those kind of connections. But his performance was that astounding, and after that movie, he was up for. I think, if I'm correct, he was up for Han Solo in Star Wars.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Glenn had an impact on a lot of people. Why I don't remember all the story of why he didn't get it or whatever was going on, but yeah,
What a different world this would have been if that had happened.
yeah, a lot of different for a lot of people. Might have even gotten some Cooley High people some work.
Man, that's so wild to think of, like how that whole franchise would have looked.
Yeah,
that's different.
He carried that movie to what it is to this day. I mean, and he had his side partner Larry. They're two peas in a pod to this day.
Gotcha.
They are very loving brothers, and they really stick by each other. So, as far as I remember, as far as I know, and what I've seen, and when we did the unsung together, and the times I've seen them after that, they're very, very close to this day, and that resonated through the film. And their friendship, I think, affected everyone because they were the main thing of the film, but the love that they had for each other, it kind of spread to everybody and made everybody feel at home and made us all comfortable. I remember, being able to talk to Larry, and Lawrence Hilton Jacobs is extremely talented. He had albums. I don't know if anybody knows he has had albums out. He plays the piano. He's crafts a picture with a pen without even using a pencil. He's a consummate artist in so many ways. And he used to draw with me. He used to let me come up to his hotel room and he let me draw. I'd be so amazed at watching his artwork and having him perform. And he's gone on to be a producer. He produces films also. So, but all that to say that there was a lot of love on the film, and it resonated starting with them throughout everyone, and we all were like one big family. So when people feel the movie, they're feeling the reality of us loving each other and really enjoying each other's company for the times that I was there, because I really, really felt them and the rest of the cast, but I was in the bed at 8 or 9 o'clock getting ready for next day's call, and they was out partying. So I missed a lot of the camaraderie because I was too young to really be on the scene. But when I was on the scene,
you might have been better off for it because it was the 70s.
I wasn't even thinking about where can I go. I need to go get in the bed.
Right, exactly. Again,
Stone was out.
Glory to God.
So
probably kept you from a whole lot of mess.
Yeah, I tell you what. Let's take another break, and then we're going to come back and wrap it up. So just just keep to all the listeners, keep it tuned right here on the Flex Radio. We are talking with Mr. Corin Pooter Rogers from the movie Cooley High. All right, once again, this is your man David L. David and Aline Harris, and we'll be right back. Yes, we are back. This is your man, David L. David. And yes, this is The Flex Radio. And I'm joined with Aline Harris of the Harrises.
Howdy.
Yep. And we're here today with Mr. Rogers, a.k.a. Pooter from the movie Cooley High, man. The classic movie, Cooley High, 1975. Yep. And I think we have a caller who wanted to ask you a question. Let me see if I can get this caller on.
Sure.
Mr. Caller. He must not be
Yes,
there.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go. What's your name, Mr. Caller?
Hey.
My name is Tony.
What's up,
Originally
Tony?
from Chicago myself.
All right.
Live down in Georgia. And quick question.
Sure.
And stuff. Kind of two part. When you after Cooley High, what other roles did you stumbled on?
Okay, so after Cooley High, I did an episode of a Chicago story. Was a little series they had in Chicago. I played a gangster called Jerome, and after that, I did On the Right Track with Gary Coleman. I played his bodyguard Mark, and Bill Russell was my father. I've done commercials here, and in fact, I have 2 auditions today. I just booked a voiceover. I've been doing non-union work, but it just plays sometimes better than union work. I have been doing more non-union, non-speaking or small speaking roles over the last years, and I don't work that much, but and I'm not really ambitious actor. I'm not like trying to be in films like right now, because I'm thinking about it. I get told all the time, yeah, but it's a lot. I mean, but I've thought about, I have had some auditions recently for like Chicago Fire, but it was bit stuff, just like like a wino or drunk or something like that. So I'm not, I'm not in the movie scene. I mean, I'm 65 now, and I take light roles. I'm not a dedicated person, maybe like Glenn Lair, but I still audition, and I still do small roles. You're not going to probably see me in any films as of recently in the last 10, 20 years. But I still go out for stuff, and like I said, I have 2 auditions today. One for like bookit.com or something like that, and I have another one, and I just booked a voiceover for a soda company. And I don't broadcast. Like when I do my work, whatever work I do, I don't put it on social media. You won't see me saying, I just did a commercial. Look at me,
Gotcha.
If something that I do is worthy of you seeing it, you'll see it.
I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying my life.
Before
and
social media, there was ways of communicating.
Yeah. I'm enjoying my family, and I teach art now at the Catholic school. I do acting here and there. I'm not in the theater, but I'm enjoying the highlights of what Cooley High was still, obviously, and it continues to roll. And it's proof that you guys actually wanted, to do the interview and called me, and I'm excited about that.
Sure.
And
Now,
continuing it.
Is there any plans to do? I'm pretty sure, but there are any plans in the works to do like a 50th anniversary reunion? That should be next year, right?
Well, I did the first reunion at the Click. I flew in Larry and Glenn and kept them in a 24-hour limousine and put them in a hotel. And lots of the cast members was there. Stone was there. Jackie Taylor was there. I think after we had shut down Robert Townsend, they said he came in looking for everybody. But when we did that, I kept them, and then they had a friend who was performing. The guy, I forgot his name. He was in the 5 Heartbeats. He was performing with his band at the Navy Pier, and we took the limousine over there, and we went backstage and met him, and we roamed the streets of Chicago, and that was a ball. And then they started doing more after that. And in fact, my partner, Richard Carter at the time, was the person that started the whole thing because he was like, you should do a reunion. I was like, nobody's going to come to a reunion. Nobody cares. I didn't realize how big Cooley High is. And he's the one who initiated. He was the catalyst for starting all of these reunions and starting all this stuff. So they've gone on and done many reunions and things that weren't in Chicago that, you know, I learned about later. And I know that they also, I was told that they attended, Larry and Glenn were invited and attended a musical or a play version of Cooley High that was going around touring or something. So I hear bits and pieces here and there, but I have not received any information about, you know, no one's contacted me about being anything, you know, and I haven't reached out because I mean, what I've done is sealed in film, and you know, I don't really broadcast. Hey, I was in a movie, you know. Yeah. Don't you need me? You know, I'm part of this. You need me, don't you? No, it's not like that. I enjoy the people enjoying the film and enjoying whatever they're doing, and the venues they create are fine and fascinating to me. And if I hear about one, I'll watch it on YouTube or something. But if I'm not invited, I don't search. I'm not looking for anything, but I am enjoying whatever other people are doing and whatever accolades they're getting. I get a piece of that every time I see someone with joy, because there's nothing better than a happy human. So, you know, I live with that. Yeah.
Nice.
Before we let you go, there's two more stories I'd like you to share because they're funny. So one of them is the infamous gorilla poop story.
Funny. Hilarious.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, please tell the inside and like the inside end of what that was and how that played out and fill us in.
Okay. Have you heard this?
I did hear it. I heard it, but that's why I want you to share it with our listeners because it's a silly, funny story.
Okay,
and it gives people an inside peek at what really goes on in film.
Okay, so well, if you look at the movie, every time we shot that, I was laughing, and you'll see me trying to hold back my laughter when I look down at the stain. But the prop man made this poop out of chocolate and peanut butter, and he throws it on me off camera. So the next day, we're going to shoot the L scene, and they didn't have the poop. His wife threw the poop out, thought it was garbage, and he had to mix some new poop, and the poop didn't match. Everybody's walking around wondering, because they are so meticulous when it comes to movies to make everything pass. Even if there's nobody saying nobody's going to notice that. They're worried about the producers and the investors noticing it and saying, what's wrong with this shot? So they were freaking out about the poop and would it match? And it wasn't even on. It's like they threw the new poop on me and then let it fall off so I would have the stain. And it wasn't that big a thing. But they were freaking out about this color of the poop. So anyway, with the lighting and everything, no one noticed, and it went on, and it was no poop wasn't a big problem. But they had made such a big thing out of this. It was kind of funny at the time.
Right. Okay. Thank you for sharing that because that is a really funny story. And just for reference, how long did they waste time trying to match up the poop?
I was a day. I don't know, 3 or 4 hours or something. It wasn't like a lot. It wasn't like a day. Because it cost
3 or 4 hours is a lot of time to try and mix poop and match.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, maybe I was such a long time. Maybe it was an hour. I don't know, but it seemed like 3 hours. You know, I mean, when you're on the set, you know. Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. I'd like to just say before we leave, that Pooter had several scenes that were shot that were edited out of the movie, and one of them was when they were shooting the movie in the high school. They took me to a theater and they did another scene. They actually shot it where someone sitting next to somebody who's smoking. They put their cigarette on the seat in front of us, and the seat begins to smoke, and Pooter goes, "Fire!" And the audience says, "What do you say?" And they say, "Fire!" And the audience tossed all their cokes on Pooter, and that was a scene that was edited out. But I got drenched for it, and it was kind of silly. Wow.
How many times did they have to shoot that? How many times did you get?
I think I got dumped. Cokes dumped on me maybe 2 or 3 times.
Oh, wow.
It was a funny
That's
scene.
crazy. Okay, last question.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of the movie has this also infamous jump on the back of the bus and hitch a ride scene.
Yeah.
Can you give us some of the ins and outs on like what that was? Was there stunt doubles? How hard was it to hold on to the back of the bus? Like, was it dangerous? Was anybody like falling off?
Yeah.
What happened with that?
Well, they actually rigged a wooden plank because the buses in the 70s when he shot the movie didn't have the bumpers that they had on in the 60s when the actual incidents really happened. But I was told that they actually did ride on that big bumper, but we didn't have the bumper, so they had to rig something, and they harnessed this up and stuff. And we were comfortable. They weren't going real fast like when you see a slapping 5 on the back of the bus. So it was doable and it was safe, and we had a good time laughing about that the whole day.
So, Eileen, I have a question for you though. That wasn't a thing in California?
What? People riding on the back of the bus thing?
Yeah, because in New York,
that's what they did. It was over by the time I was grown enough to pay attention.
That's how we got
nobody
around.
Jumping on the back of the bus.
Listen, that's how we got around in New York. I'm telling you, that's how in the 70s, 80s. That's how we got around. You jump on the back of the bus. You ride as far as you can go.
Somebody may have tried it and done it. I couldn't tell you, but again, like by the time I would have been conscious of it, I don't recall ever seeing anybody do that. Yeah. That's wild. That's crazy and very cool, though. Thank you so much for sharing these stories and giving people a little taste of who you are and a little taste of the inside of the film industry. That's what I'm supposed to be talking about. But yeah, inside of the film industry. And although this movie in particular does have a heavy music tone with the Motown soundtrack and all that stuff going on. And of course, the ever-reaching song that got redone by Boys to Men that has now become its own part of Black culture in its own right. So, the movie is very far-reaching as far as the impact that it had overall. You know what? I have one other question just for the sake of where we're at now. So with the way that the movie depicts the rawness of what the writer's experiences were, and where we're at now in society and how those things translate, do you think that, or do you see direct influences for good and for bad? Because if we're truly honest, there's some depictions of us as Black youth that are not favorable in the movie. We are showing our less favorable sides on some of these issues, and showing the dynamics between people who don't exemplify that and people who are totally invested in that moment of their youth and what those things play out to be. But do you think that those things, for good and for bad, had a direct influence on the hip hop culture that now prevails?
Well, I'll say this about Cooley High, and that's a long conversation, and that more the people will argue that for forever probably. But I'll say that Cooley High is the only movie ever made about an African American male youth that wanted to be something besides the stereotypical person in our community. He wanted to be a writer, and he read classical poetry. He was an intellectual. And we don't have, I don't care, any movie, no one. It's like Cooley High snuck through the cracks and gave a glimpse of a person who wanted to do something that was out of the norm, because all of our youth are running through the same door, and have always running through the same door. There's all these other doors that are open that none of us are going through. Right now, I have a child just out of the norm. She's a quantum physics major.
Beautiful.
Back from Sydney, Australia.
Wow.
I have another daughter who is an aeronautical engineer.
Oh, wow.
Really?
They need us in the sciences. They need us going over and transferring into other areas. Our children are not given the opportunity or encouraged to try anything else but what they see, and what they're hammered with every day is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to be exposed to more examples of brilliant young black men like Cooley High. Expose them to, whether they recognize it or not. It was in the movie, and it was a gem, and it's the most important thing that you can get out of the film for me. And I look at that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that take.
Yeah, and that's what I see when I think of the film, is this brilliant brother who was an intellectual, reading Pygmalion and all these poems that weren't necessarily raps. They were classical poetry, and there's nothing wrong with slam poetry or rap or anything, but there are other venues of writing. And even if you're a rapper, there's nothing wrong with looking at what other cultures are doing and putting that also in your music. So Cooley High just represents a standard that I don't think any other film has looked at or tried, because they're afraid that we won't go see anything. But like the producers, the big non-black producers, don't realize that we'll see anything but gangs and rap. That's our corner of the market that we're going to. If they want to make money in our community, they're going to show us that, or they're going to show us, being silly. But there's lots of serious young black men who are doing other things and creating other things than just, doing whatever is negative, and that happens to be negative in that movie, or exclusively negative in other movies.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I agree.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you again for that answer. That was one of the things that I looked at as to like where people are with this now. So again, thanks for your take on that.
I'll say one thing: if you build it, they will come, and we need more people to take chances on our population, because our population is in need of exposure on so many different levels.
Oh yeah.
And bless you guys for having me. It was a great time. Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks for taking the time.
All right. Bless you.
Where can our listeners find you on social media and things like that?
I'm just on Corin Rogers on Facebook, and then I have Echoes of the Past. My mom left me an extensive African American memorabilia collection with slave documents and all kind of paraphernalia and books and buttons. And I do travel and lecture on and give that exhibit. And so they can, and that is called Echoes of the Past. It's also on Facebook.
We might actually have to have you come back on and just talk about that.
That'd be great.
Really, really incredible.
That'd be great, because what's happening right now with it is
for us, okay?
Very, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
sounds great.
Absolutely.
Mr. Rogers,
again, thank you so much.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be reaching out, man, so you can come back on the show and talk about that for sure.
Sounds great.
So thanks once again. This has been the Flex Radio's you know what, Aline, I always mess that up. What is it called? What is it called again? The interview sessions.
The Flex Radio interview sessions, sir.
David L. David and
David L. David
Harris. And you know what? Before we go, you guys got you two have something in common. You both work with Gary Coleman. So Aline was on an episode of Different Strokes, and you played.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, like more than the episode. Because I actually did 2 episodes of Different Strokes, but more than the episodes of Different Strokes, what I noticed is I did see like the clip of the movie that you did with Gary, and you were actually doing that movie around the same time that I was under contract with Norman Lear for development deals. So I actually was hanging out with Gary around that time of his life, like all the time. We had the same tutors and all that. We played with his big truck in front of Norman Lear's office and all that. So yeah, that would be a whole other question I have for you, because like Gary was so sweet and so awesomely joyful and wonderful. So fun. And it's just like you could see. Like, I mean, David, are you playing us off? The music's getting louder and louder. What is wrong with you? Anyway.
I didn't know that. I didn't touch it.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, Gary Coleman used to walk around school and squirting everybody with water guns.
Wow,
that
really?
sounds like a Gary that I knew when I was around him when I was little. Yep.
Producers, directors, you were getting squirted.
That sounds just like when I first met him. And then, like, it was crazy because by the time I came back and did Different Strokes later, it was years later, and he was not the same person, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so,
a lot happened. A lot. I was saved from the Hollywood bug, and I'm probably a better person for it.
Nice.
Thank you. I agree. And it's good to hear you say that out loud for the rest of the world to hear, because, like, I don't think people get it sometimes.
Oh, man, there's a lot happening. Yeah. And I almost went to California. I had a new agent, a whole lot of stuff, but it didn't happen. I'm grateful.
Wow.
Amen.
Okay.
All right. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, for sure.
Bless
definitely.
You guys. Have a great evening.
We'll definitely be in touch. Once again, this is your man, David L. David and Aline Harris. And we just had a Cooley High lesson. Okay, things we didn't know. We were speaking with Mr. Corin, Pooter Rogers, and it was a blessing to have him on the show, man. I mean, I was probably just 5 or 6 years old when that movie came out, but I've seen it. Thank God I'm able to see it, on cable, which is a blessing. I've probably seen that movie like 5 times in the past 2 weeks. I swear to you. At least 5.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, I've heard some records out there. You ought to ask who's seen it the most. I think there's at least one person I've met who's seen it said 100 times.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. There might be somebody with like a Cooley High world record.
Total. I probably got at least 20 in my lifetime. At least 20, but 100. Oh yeah, that's a diehard right there.
That's up there. That's up there.
Yep. But once again, okay, this was David L. David and Aline Harris, and we were speaking with Mr. Corin, Pooter Rogers. We will be right back.
Thanks for tuning in.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Hit that follow button to be notified when new episodes are released.
Choose your platform.
Listen to us on Amazon Music,
YouTube Podcast,
Apple Podcasts,
iHeartRadio,
and Spotify.
The Interview Sessions
on the Flex Radio.
Ranked 66 out of more than 2.5 million other podcasts.
Tune in directly.
Download the Flex Radio app today.